Fucking, I'm out.
I heard voices in the hallway. Is there something wrong with Daddy, Mom?
You can get through this, okay? Just take it one step at a time, okay? Hello, everybody. Welcome to MaffmanJones Movie Reviews. I'm your host, John Maffio, and today's featured film is Insidious Chapter 2, directed by James Wan, who just had The Conjuring out a couple months ago, and this film stars Patrick Wilson again, Rosa Byrne, and Barbara Hershey. The premise for this second chapter in this horror film series takes off exactly where the first one left off, and if you haven't seen the first one, then I don't know why you're watching this review, because, spoiler alert, Patrick Wilson goes into the further, he comes out, and apparently the older lady took over his soul. But we don't know what happens from that point, and this movie basically elaborates on what happened and shows it has a little more backstory to it. It may not be that precise and coherent film that The Conjuring is, but Insidious Chapter 2 continues with the same tone as the first film, and in a good way, and it also leaves a great impact on the audience, and it also tightens the story. So, to briefly discuss the basic functions, the acting is pretty good. Everybody does their part to an extent, and a couple people are bad. I mean, the kids do what they can with the material because they're kids. They're not going to be the best actors in the movie, obviously. There's a comedic duo that returns from the first movie, The Paranormal Investigators, which consists of the writer, the screenplay writer, and some other guy with a big beard, and they're both really good in their roles. They're funny, and they keep the audience lifted from the dramatic moments. Patrick Wilson, Rosa Byrne are still really good in their roles, and Patrick Wilson is a little cartoony. He's a little cheesy, but there's a reason behind why he is. And at first I was like, why is he acting so weird? But there's a reason why he does. And he had a really different performance, and I appreciated it. The cinematography, for horror standards, is pretty good. And James Wan, obviously the horror master, and he knows how to construct a scene, how to build suspense, and just get you going. And a lot of that goes in with the incorporation of the camera angles and the panning and the tilting, and he knows how to use it well. The only thing I would say is that the movie is shot digitally, and there's certain scenes, ones that are particularly shot in dark areas that look really fake, and it took me out of the movie a little bit because I felt like I was watching a home video. The screenplay, however, is a mixed bag because it's a really good screenplay in terms of story because it wraps up the story of the first film very well, and you could tell they actually took their time to make a solid story for the second chapter, and they didn't just pull something out of their ass. The unfortunate aspect of the screenplay is the dialogue, because some of the dialogue is very unnatural and unorganic. Didn't feel like something that people would say in real life, because the first movie, although really fantastical, felt grounded in reality with the characters. This movie felt more like something dialogue-wise as I would see in like an old-fashioned horror film. But maybe that was the intention. But now to get into the belly of the beast, where everybody wants to know about the horror. How was it? Was it scary? Let me say, yes, it was f***ing terrifying. Once again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, horror is subjective. Not everybody will be terrified by the subject matter in this film. But me in particular, things that happen in this movie just straight up got to my head. And just like these pale ghosts, that creepy old woman from the first film, she returns. She has a backstory and a name, and she plays a heavy role in this film. She was really f***ing terrifying. The way that James Wan executes the scares and suspense in this film, he really builds suspense and scenes, and the payoff is huge. And I mean, I jumped out of my seat literally 2 or 3 times. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Throughout the second half of the film, I was very invested in the story and what was going to happen with the characters, and along with it are some really creative scares. Like with the first film, the scares are very creative. And I was like biting my nails. I had my hoodie up because for some reason I feel like my hoodie will protect me, but it doesn't. And finally, for those who have seen the first film and enjoyed it, the musical score is fantastic. It fits well with the tone of the picture. It's piercing, and it gets to your head, like the whole movie in general. But to wrap this all up in a really spooky nutshell, Insidious Chapter 2 is a well-made follow-up to the first film. It's incoherent in its editing, and it's digital in actual composition, so it looks a little weird sometimes, but the movie is scary, and bottom line, if a horror movie is scary, it did its job well. The acting, everything else is decent enough to carry the picture, the actors carry it, the scares are well creatively imaginative, And, the story wrapped itself up in a tight little bow. Insidious Chapter 2 is a darn good Applebee's meal. It's a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a good little appetizer for Halloween, even though there's no real Halloween movies coming out in October. Well, this is ours, I guess. A little early, but early is never bad. However, I want to know what you guys think. When you see Insidious Chapter 2, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. Did you think it was spooky or not? Also, please subscribe to my channel and like this video if you enjoyed this review of Insidious Chapter 2. You can also check out the links to Facebook, Twitter, and We Live Film in the info box. I'm John Maffio, aka MaffmanJones, and good luck on Fast and Furious 7, James Wan. See you guys next time. I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. Oh, son of a bitch.
He's talking to you.
What's he saying?
He's got your baby. 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 He's got your baby.
He's got your baby.